Good day, everyone. I am Celestina L. Magdua, and I'm going to present one of the special topics in science, technology, and society about the information. According in the book, a word is a combination of sounds that represent something. It is this significance which makes words distinct from just any kind of vocal utterance. Words are made up of sounds and yet they transmit something more significant. They transmit a message. The words are informed because they carry information. According to Chizon 2006 and Ben Nime 2015, words are informed with meaning given by the speaker and intended for the listener. Simply put, they communicate meaning. So what is information? Attempts to answer the question, what is information, have not surprisingly occupied the thoughts of information scientists for a long time. Almost certainly since before the term information science was coined in 1955. The layperson asked to define information is most likely to regard it as an item of information or intelligence, a fact or circumstance of which one is told. This is just one of the many dictionary definitions of the word. Indeed, information scientists appear to have been reluctant to propose definitions of information, preferring rather to discuss concepts, the difference being according to Belkin, a definition says what the phenomenon defined is, whereas a concept is a way of looking at or interpreting the phenomenon. In the recent paper, Macready and Rice review concepts of information proposed over the last 50 years. A summary of their concepts are the following. First one is information as a representation of knowledge. Information is stored knowledge. Traditionally, the storage medium has been books, but increasingly electronic media are becoming important. And the second one is information as data in the environment. Information can be obtained from a range of environmental stimuli and phenomena, not all of which are intended to convey a message, but which can be informative when appropriately interpreted. The third concept is information as part of the communication process. Meanings are in people rather than in words or data. Timing and social factors play a significant role in the processing and interpretation of information. And the last concept of information is information as a resource or commodity. Information is transmitted in a message from sender to receiver. The receiver interprets the message as intended by the sender. There may be added value as the information is disseminated or exchanged. So let's now move on to the information in context. The model presented rests on the assumption that information cannot be evaluated without an awareness of the context in which it is being interpreted. These assumptions lead to a model comprising three components. So there are three components of information in context. These are the assumption that information cannot be evaluated without an awareness of the context in which it is being interpreted. So the first component of information context is the readership context, the context in which a message is received and interpreted. The reader is any system which derives or attempts to derive information from a message. A system may be a mechanism, an organism, a community, or an organization. And the second one is the authorial context, the context in which the message originates. The author is any system that transmits a message from a reader can derive information. And the last one is the message, the means by which information is transmitted. It may be written, spoken, facial expressions, pronominal, and etc. So let's now move on to the information as a resource or commodity. Getting the message. Messages are classified according to how focused they are. Traditionally, information scientists have dealt largely with focused messages. Highly focused messages are ones in which the context for interpretation is very specific, making ambiguities difficult or impossible. The most obvious example would be a mathematical document, but other examples include command line, computer enterprises, and technical publications. So, the importance of recognizing context. Wilson stresses the importance of context in dictating information needs, but makes no mention of the impact of context on the interpretation and effectiveness of information materials. Jorland considers subject analysis of documents as one of the most fundamental activities of library and information. Information and knowledge. Earlier, the importance of context in causing a stimulus to become informative was discussed, but arguably, the most fundamental context was omitted, that of the knowledge of the recipient of the information. The examples of context listed above will all shape that knowledge, hence their significance, but in addition, the knowledge will be affected by an incalculable array of experiences and aptitudes. So now let's talk about the personal paradigms as context. The word paradigm above is used in its dictionary sense, pattern, example, to exhibit beside, show side by side, rather than in the ways in which Kuhn used in the term in his philosophy of science. While Kuhn used paradigm to describe systems by which meaning could be shared in a research community, the word is used above to describe the ways in which an individual organizes information within his or her worldview. Information in the community. Although the knowledge of the information user may be the ultimate informing context, from the point of view of an information manager wishing to provide relevant information, it is probably an impractical starting point. It is for this reason that information specialists tend to deal with information as a representation of knowledge, or information as thing. Memes and the transfer of information. As was stated at the start of this presentation, information is widely regarded as being a property of living organisms. Dennett, in particular, stresses the connection between information and awareness, discusses the impact of information on consciousness. In so doing, he draws heavily on some of the ideas proposed by Dawkins in The Selfish Gene. Here, Dawkins argues that a lot of ideas are reproduced in human society in a manner analogous to genetic replication. He refers also to such ideas as memes, and the resulting study or memetics has begun to gain acceptability. As has been argued, the materials with which the information scientist routinely works represents just a small proportion of potential information. This presentation therefore proposes that to capture the breadth of possible information sources, information should be defined as a stimulus originating in one system that affects the interpretation by another system of either the second system relationship to the first or of the relationship the two systems share with a given environment. Brown suggests that in attempting to define information scientists have tended to restrict the term to only a part of the whole, and that no satisfactory concept of information for information science will ever be formulated in the sense of supplanting all others. The models described above represent an attempt not to supplant concepts of information, but to unite them. The idea that information is only information in certain informing contexts incorporates nearly all widely held concepts of information and would provide a useful point in which students to the range of directions in which information science could take them. And that's all. Thank you for listening. I hope you gain a lot of knowledge. Bye.